Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're looking at the new cards in the WitchWood expansion. I'm having trouble actually keeping it in my head that it is the WitchWood expansion and not the Wildwood expansion. While you're getting set up, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell. I do a lot more than just cover Hearthstone, and I hope people will like that. So on the Asian account, at least, you can look at the cards. You have to go into crafting mode, which then allows you to see the WitchWood tag. But then you get no results because you can't actually craft any of the cards, so you have to click this box to see uncraftable cards. They're uncraftable because they're not released yet, but they are in the game, and that means we can look at them in a nice, easy fashion instead of looking at other people revealing them on websites and talking about them that way in piecemeal forms. So last time we looked at the priest cards. There are a couple of interesting priest cards, and now we're going to look at the rogue cards. First card we have is a 2-mana spell called Cheap Shot. It is an echo card that deals 2 damage to a minion. So for example, if you have 10 mana crystals, you could play 2 mana crystals to play this and deal 2 damage to a minion, and then in one way or the other you're allowed to play it again for another 2 mana crystals. So if you had 10, you could do it for 5, do 10 damage in increments of 2 to any variety of minions. This is not a bad card because it gives you some options. If it's your second turn and you just need to kill something really bad, you can play it your second turn. If it's your fourth turn and you need to kill 2 minions and they both have 2 or less health, you can do that. If it's your sixth turn, you could kill 3 minions with 2 or less health. There's a lot of different points between your second turn and your 10th turn where this has added value and a lot of different options. So I like the idea of echo cards. I hope we see more of that than, I guess, rush cards, which is the other thing that has been introduced. Rush is fine, but it's kind of just this mushy middle of an ability. Next we have a 2-mana spell called Pickpocket. It's an echo card again. Add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. Now remember, on the rogue particularly, there are combo cards, so it wouldn't be terrible to have these kind of cards in a combo deck, because there's at least one minion that gets +1/+1 attack for every card played before this one. So like on your 10th turn you could probably play 4 different instances of Pickpocket and still have enough mana to play that minion and make him very powerful. In fact, I believe there's a minion that you play that makes spells cost 0, or your enemy's spell cost 0 for the next turn, and I have to wonder, does that mean you potentially could play something like Pickpocket for an infinite amount of time until your hand is full, and go from an empty hand to a full hand? That would be an interesting use case of it. Next card we have is a 3-mana, 3 attack, 3 health minion called Blink Fox, which is a beast class minion. It has a battle cry. Add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. So 2 steal cards. They're certainly expanding into the idea of stealing cards for the rogue. Still haven't really seen a strategy as far as stealing cards that means too much. There's not a minion that I've seen so far, at least, that says for every card you've stolen in this game, gain +1 attack or gain +1 health or anything like that. Next we have a 3-mana, 2 attack, 4 health pirate minion, which this is the first pirate that we've had added, I believe, in quite a while, and it's definitely the first one for this expansion. It's called the Cutthroat Buccaneer. Or no, that's Cutthroat Buccaneer. I don't think I've ever seen Cutthroat written down before. It's a combo card, which is the old key phrase where this gets this bonus if some other card has been played before this point. And it gives your weapon +1 attack, so it's a weapon manipulator also, which is an old strategy. There is a daily quest right now for playing pirates, so having one more pirate is not a bad idea. I don't believe there really is 30 pirates you could put in a deck and just have an all pirate deck, and it makes real sense. Unfortunately, I believe they're changing the daily quest, so we probably won't have the daily quest to play pirates as often anymore anyways, but they are going to change the daily quest, I believe, to a better system that doesn't require you to get victories or play very specific cards, which requires you then to delete some custom deck that you love to play to make some random deck to play cards for a daily quest, which is why so many of my decks across my 3 different accounts, my Americas account, my European account, and my Asian account, so many of those decks are just in horrific, messy states because it's impossible to care about them when you know, like, any day you're gonna have to delete that one you spent time on to make something different. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 2 attack, 2 health legendary minion called the Face Collector, Echo, and it has a battle cry: add a random legendary minion to your hand. So theoretically, unless this was reduced in cost, you could play this 3 times when you have 9 mana characters, and then you would have 3 of these on the field and 3 legendaries in your hand. It's not as useful as it might seem on the face of it, no pun intended, because a random legendary might be helpful, it might not. But it is a 3 mana card with an echo ability and 2 attack and 2 health, so it feels like a card you might put in your deck just because it's better than a 2 mana, 2 attack, 2 health that does nothing else. So I would certainly consider it over a lot of neutral cards, but I don't see a long-term strategy or plan towards that works with that. Next we have a 4 mana, 3 attack, 5 health minion called the Mist Wraith. Whenever you play an echo card, gain +1/+1. This is the first card we've seen that gains any kind of bonus because of echo. So if we were to play this and this and I believe this one, you can pump up and increase the attack and health of this character, but you would pretty much have to do it on the 5th turn, because you have to wait till the 4th turn to play this one. I assume it's only going to get +1/+1 when it's on the field. A lot of these things aren't fully explained, so I doubt this card can be in your hand and it will get +1/+1 every time you play an echo before that point. Maybe it can, maybe it won't. I've seen there are cards that do work that way, and there are some cards that don't. There certainly is some more explanation and rules that need to be explained. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I always use as my comparison to the card game I played before this, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had some really tight rules that are just kind of overlooked compared to Hearthstone, or they're not really talked about, and you just kind of have to learn from experience. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, a turn was a draw phase, a magic phase, an attack phase, another magic phase, and then an end phase. So there was like 5 very specific steps, and I probably said it wrong, in Yu-Gi-Oh! In every single turn. There's really nothing like that in Hearthstone. You draw a card, which I suppose is your draw phase, and then you play the cards in any order you want. And if it's going to trigger a secret, it will just trigger the secrets in random instances at random times. And we'll just see. You just have to figure out what happens, which leads to some very weird scenarios where things just don't act the way you think they will. This card is an example of that. I could easily see half the people thinking this should get +1/+1 while it's in your hand, and half the people thinking it only gets +1/+1 while it's on the field. Next card, moving on though, we have a 4-mana, 2-attack, 2 durability weapon. I believe this is the second weapon we've gotten in this entire expansion, which isn't super surprising because they don't seem like they really know what they're doing in Hearthstone with weapons, but at least they're trying, I suppose. It's called the Spectral Cutlass. It has lifesteal, so every time it does 2 damage, it'll give you 2 health, or however much damage it ends up doing, it'll give you that same amount of health. Whenever you play a card from another class, gain +1 durability. So finally we have a card that actually does work with stealing cards. Add a random card to your hand from an opponent's class. Although I guess technically this isn't stealing because you're duplicating cards from your opponent's class, not removing cards from your opponent. The concept of stealing cards, actually depriving your opponent of cards, is actually an interesting thought for the rogue, and maybe they should go down that way. I don't believe there is any card that actually does that right now, and I don't particularly see a reason why there isn't. Next we have a 4-mana spell called Wanted. Deal 3 damage to a minion. If it kills it, add a coin to your hand. The coin gives you 1 extra mana. It's not an echo card though, so I suppose for the rogue, if you're playing a combo deck, you might play this spell, but it's kind of weak too, just dealing 3 damage and giving you a coin for 4 mana. Next we have a 6-mana, 5-attack, 3 health minion called the Cursed Castaway. He's another pirate class minion, or perhaps I should say she, but in general I just call all the cards he, as just a simple, easy way to say things. It has Rush, which means it can attack other minions, and it has a Death Rattle to draw a combo card from your deck, which this would be helpful on the daily quest where you have to play combos, and it would be helpful to build out a pirate deck. And I guess it's all right with Rush. It doesn't have a ton of health. There is the Ship's Cannon card that does 2 damage to a random enemy every time a pirate is played also. So yeah, I'd definitely put this in a pirate deck, but I doubt I'd have it in a deck that wasn't a pirate deck, just for random reasons. And our final card for the rogue is an 8-mana, 6-attack, 6 health legendary minion called Greymane. I'm pretty sure we've already seen some Greymanes in the World of Warcraft storyline in which Hearthstone is based, and since I don't play World of Warcraft, I never have, I don't know any of that storyline. Although I do know that a new expansion for World of Warcraft has been announced and is coming out, so some time down the line the new expansion elements will get turned into cards. Anyways, Greymane has a battle cry: replay every card from another class you've played this game, targets chosen randomly. That's pretty crazy. But this does finally open up a reason to build a thief deck as a rogue to steal or copy cards from your opponent's class. And on top of the cards that are being added to do that, there certainly is a collection of rogue cards that already did that. And when something like this adds a random legendary minion to your hand, there's still a chance that the random card you get would be from another class. So you could get a random legendary from a different class, play it, and it would get replayed, which this phrase replay, I believe, is the first time any card in Hearthstone has used this. So this is a new key phrase potential there. So theoretically, if you played a legendary minion from another class, it would also get played again. Or if you just played any minion from another class, it would get replayed again. I find Rogue as an expansion to be one of the more interesting expansions. A lot of them so far have been boring. And we're down to just 3 more in the neutral cards. Excuse me, I'm getting a tickle in my throat. That's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. When you subscribe, click that notification bell. And if you want to support me even further, friend me on Steam and gift me a game. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.